Okay, but that's my question there. Is it end of the world delicious?
End of the world good,
End of the world,
yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Fuck it.
I'd fuck with that all
Fuck
day.
it.
Why not? That's all I
End of
had.
the
Thank
world.
you.
I would fuck some Chef Boyardee
Sure.
up in the end of the world, man.
So,
Whoo.
so if
Honestly, I'm thinking
You're
about
used
fucking
to
some
eating
up
like
now.
fucking
I haven't had any
rats.
in like
incepted
20
you,
years.
Yeah.
I haven't had any in about 20 years, but
I'll
I'm kind of
stock up right
tempted.
now,
That
right?
should be that should be a segment on Nerdy Bunch.
welcome to A Bunch of Us, a Nerdy Bunch weekly discussion on HBO Max series adaptation of The Last of Us. My name's English Dave, and joining me are my fellow lovers of dad jokes, my co-hosts Raven and Rocket Mike. What's up, nerds?
What up,
Yo.
Dave?
We'll have more
I do,
jokes later on, I promise. I should have
I
had
do
one
love
ready.
a good dad joke.
I
Not a
wanted
dad,
to
but I
have
still
a
love it.
response to that, but like when you try, it doesn't happen. So I'm sure as
No,
soon as I let my
no.
guards down and we're like deep into talking about this episode, I'm just gonna keep
You know,
spitting them out.
there's a website or company, I heard about this, that they have a subscription service. They'll email you a dad joke every day, and
Yeah.
they're making
So nice.
millions right now.
Of course they are. Not subscribe to it.
Oh yeah.
I have a friend, literally one of my closest friends ever, is subscribed and sometimes tells me the
So that means
joke,
you're
but
subscribed.
basically, yes. It's okay. We have an even exchange because I send memes every morning. So, like, it's a thing.
Yeah, we are meme friends, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah. Raven, I like your purple hair. I like the.
This is new. Yesterday.
It's giving Black Panther vibes.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
Nakia.
Nice.
As
I
of
like
like
it.
yesterday. So,
I like it.
good
I
and
like it.
fresh.
I like it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm
we're here to
still in
talk.
superhero mode.
We're here to talk episode 4
Never
of The
leaves.
Last of Us. Took us back to the game, right? Because last episode we veered away.
Right.
This we kind of veered back in. Fun fact though, and I was telling my uncle, my uncle who got me to sci-fi and Fringe. He was a lover of Fringe. I was telling him to watch the show because at first
Uncle fella.
he was apprehensive of watching the show because he's not a fan of like the horror genre. So I told him to watch this show. I was like, watch it. You don't really see like zombies or infected. I say that to say this episode we don't see one infected. We see some effects that or maybe we hear some or we see some effects that could be, but we visually did not see an infected in this episode. And even in
I
past
also feel
episodes.
like that's kind of the theme of the episode, though, is the fact that there are scarier things than the infected in
Yep.
this apocalypse. You have more to worry about than just being bit by an infected. You also
Yep.
have to worry about people. You have to worry about finding food. You have to wonder about shelter. There's so many other levels to this survival thing in this universe. And I feel like this episode is really just about that. Like, forget about the infected. Life is hard.
You have to learn about siphoning gas out of cars, even though you can't explain how it works.
I love that. She's like, you have no idea, do you? No, it works.
I know it works.
That would be my answer
And it's
too.
funny because I leaned closer at that part thinking you really knew. I was like, I want to know this too. And I was like, oh.
He could have made up anything.
Damn, you got
would have
me.
been convinced. And it's like, no, this guy's supposed to be the expert at everything already. He's doing such a great job. Just
Right.
just tell me, how just gravity works or doesn't work. I don't care. I'll believe you.
It just works. It doesn't matter. This episode finds us trucking along. Pick up off the last episode when they get the truck from Bill, and but at the beginning, we get another taste of Ellie, with her practicing her gun pose in the mirror. Remember, she stole the gun from last week, and she does what lots of kids would do in that situation. I'm not gonna lie. If I had a gun at that age, I'm gonna pose. It's not a good thing to do, of course, but as a kid, you're young and stupid. And I like what this show does to continue to remind us, as tough as she is, as brash as she is, she's still a child. It doesn't, and Raven, you know this, I hate how a lot of shows and movies write children. They can't get that balance right. They either write them ridiculously childish or like super like adult, and like kids at that age don't talk like that. Dawson's Creek. Um,
They were also played by 40-year-olds, so there's that too. A little hard to believe there.
but
Whatever.
but I do like that we see moments like that, and even moments like later on when they set off the drive, when she finds Bill's porn, and then she's kind of like teasing Joel. You know, I love Joel's reaction, like what is that?
It's like I don't think he had to
Like,
deal
no,
with
let me
that when
look.
Sarah was around, so it's kind of like, oh, I don't have any practice. It's just
Duh.
the coloring books that don't need any more coloring. They had some glue attached to it was arts and crafts. That's like make up something, Joel. Anything. He's just not. We just learn. We're learning so quick that he cannot lie, or he's a terrible liar.
No. What I like about this episode, though, is throughout the episode, from the beginning to the end, you get these moments of trickles that I will go through them in a bit that showcase their bond happening. You know, what I like about this show is that it doesn't, most shows, when you have two people brought together to go on the journey, the bond happens very quickly, or situations happen quicker that forges the bond. This show is still happening slowly. You know, even by the end of the episode, it's not fully there. It's not like it's not. Joel still sees her as cargo. He literally tells her that. You know, like, you're not family.
Oof. That was
Yeah.
tough. Ouch.
But she also kind of
Like,
took it too.
yes.
It was kind of like, yeah,
yeah.
I
mean, I can't be mad at you. I
we're
don't
not
look
a
at you that
thing,
way either.
We're doesn't go beyond more a
I
transaction.
mean,
Yeah.
technically, she gave him the same speech in the last episode. You didn't have to take me
Yep.
anywhere, and technically you didn't, and now you are cargo.
But I think the trickles happen first for me. You know, obviously we've seen little bits, but it starts happening at the campsite, right? Once they're camping, there's this kind of like father-daughter, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to ask you questions back and forth, right? Starting with, oh, why can't I make a fire? Well, we can't do it because of this, or they're bonding over Chef Boyardee. I don't think I've had Chef Boyardee. Have you guys had Chef Boyardee?
Grew up on that, yeah.
Is it the shit that they say?
I mean, it's
No.
not bad, but it does.
It
Texture,
was.
You got
I guess.
one flavor pretty
Like-
much. It doesn't matter how many varieties there are. It's
different
one flavor.
textures, same
Yeah.
flavor.
Yeah.
It was one flavor, different
Yeah.
textures. Basically, you either had like rice, or you had noodles, or you had like alphabet.
But that
noodles.
sauce was the same in
know,
everything.
But it was this red, thick, kind of syrupy
Yeah.
sauce.
Kind of tangy a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my
it was
question.
like
There, is it end of the world
hard
delicious?
to s-
End of the world good.
End of the
yeah.
world, yes.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I'd fuck with that all
Fuck
day.
yeah.
Why not? That's all I
End of the
had?
world.
Thank you.
I would fuck some Chef Boyardee
Sure.
up in the end of the world, man.
So,
Woo.
so if
Honestly, I'm thinking
You're
about
used
fucking
to eating
some up
like
now.
fucking
I haven't had
rats.
any in like
Incepted
20
you.
years.
Yeah.
I haven't had any in about 20 years, but
I'll
I'm kind of
stock up right
tempted.
now, right?
That should be a segment on Nerdy Bunch. Foods
Yeah.
that have aged. Foods you haven't had in 20
Raven might go to
years.
Oh my
Costco
goodness.
and just dominate the Chef Boyardee aisle. No one asks
Right. I
questions.
just go
Yeah.
for it.
Everyone
Right.
halfsies on this.
So zombie type movies have taught me
Huh.
Chef Boyardee and Twinkies from a Zombie Land.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. He said, what, 20-year aged?
Yeah.
Which I'm like, maybe it tastes better. I think maybe
I
the
mean-
seasonings would kind of have
just
the
really
time
settles.
to really like marinate together and marry. I think you'd get a full rounded
Cornstarch is like wine.
flavor palette.
Yeah. just
Yeah,
let it
I'd be up for
sink
that.
in and just age and ripen and
and it's great 'cause all the types of pasta are overcooked, no matter what it is. It's all mush. It's
Yeah.
great. It's mush with meat in it or no meat, but it's the same sauce. So yeah, wow, damn, might need some of that.
Just-
I might
just
need to know.
Gave you guys a throwback to a
Right.
different
bit.
time.
Wow, you took me all the way
That's probably
back.
how Joel
Yeah.
felt, right? Eating that.
But I will say, we'll segue. One of the things I love the most too about this episode is the fact that we kind of got to see what like a everyday survival was like for the characters in this world, because I feel like, in the game you're just alive. You don't have to worry about eating, So like
Yes, sure.
you have to worry about eating, using the bathroom, like shelter. You don't know where they sleep. It doesn't matter. You don't sleep.
Showers.
You're
Yeah.
playing. Right. All of that, changing clothes, you know? So I love that we got to see, you know, something as simple as a Chef Boyardee moment. We got to see them drive, off the beaten path and kind of into the woods and make
Hmm.
camp.
Why they
And we
can't do
got to
fire.
also, I absolutely love that moment in terms of parenting. And I feel like if anyone is watching this episode that is a parent, I feel like just the wording was so nice. Why am I going to tell you no? I wish that my parents had kind of said that to me growing up instead of just like no. And then you asking for a response
Hmm.
and getting a because I said so, you know, getting a why am I going to tell you no instead of flat out saying no. It forces a younger person or someone who's learning to really just use their brain and think,
Hmm.
okay, what's the scenario? Let me think from your
Hmm.
perspective, And I love that Ellie had to come up with the response of, well, oh, zombies, but the real truth is it's people.
Yep.
And you have to be worried the most about people, whether it be undead people or live people. But the
And
live people are
Hmm.
worse.
it's great expositional context on how the zombies work, right? Like,
Yup.
oh, they don't come out this far. It's too spread out. It's not dense enough, and blah blah blah. They're not that smart. He even says, they're smart, but not
Mm-hmm.
that smart in that sense, which I thought was a really good call. Because again, we know, especially once they get to a certain stage, they're blind. Fire won't attract them. It's sound that does.
True.
You know, but in a dark area, especially when there's no electricity, there's no city lights, any light will
Hmm.
shine from distance. So I did like those moments. And again, I love the continued moments around this campfire again, because we get more from him. She asks about Tommy, and we get some info about him, slightly different from the game, but I think it plays to, last week's episode. Joel's told by Bill that their kind of personalities to protect, right? To take care of, protect in that sense. And I still think that he feels that way towards Tommy, right? The first episode, Tommy, yo man, get me out of jail. Now he feels like Tommy hasn't called him, but he hasn't heard from Tommy, so he's like, I've got to go find Tommy. And as much as he talks to Ellie about Tommy, telling the whole backstory about his Desert Storm background, always trying to look for to be involved with people, you know, he gets a sense of he's just kind of been following his brother around. He doesn't believe in anything. He just cares about his brother. And he mentions Tess. Raven, we get this sense
Ugh.
that how he met Tess. I want to see that story though. I
I
want to see
know. To the
it.
point where I'm like, is that what the third game is going to be about? And that's why you're hiding all these details from
Right.
us? Because I heard rumors that there was going to be a third game before, like, a third season comes out.
Mhm, mhm,
So a
Hopefully.
part of me does wonder, would the game be a prequel situation?
mhm.
Or would it be Ellie's story continued? And a part of me is like, no, I kind of want to know this now. I kind of want to whoop ass in bars and stuff, Joel style. I kind of want to trick and lure somebody into an alleyway and steal all their shit. It
When
sounds
Joel's
messed
bad.
up, but right, big bad Joel. Like,
Right.
I kind of want to see it.
I mean, she asks him, "Have you, like in the game, asks him, have you killed anyone innocent?" Like,
He just changed the subject.
mm,
Hmm.
Even when he asked, as a person who's played the game sitting at home, I was like, well,
um, uh,
like when you're sitting at a dinner table and somebody brings up something really awkward, nobody wants to speak about it. It's like the kick under the table moment. We don't talk about that at the table, honey. Come on now.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
No, of course not. What do you mean? Never, never killed an innocent person.
but at that campsite, we also get another moment of bonding. She tells her first pun from the Book of Puns, Volume 2. Do you get it? 2002.
I did
by
chuckle. I did.
by Will Livingston. I love the scarecrow joke that she tells, because then I love that he knows the answer. Like, kid, I've had that joke
Yeah.
before. I've been a dad.
Graduated in
But
this
he
already. Come on.
but he
Love
gives
it.
like he gives like a little smile, not necessarily at the joke, but that he got one over her, which
Yeah.
is almost like a
Yeah,
dad thing in itself.
it is.
You know.
Like
Right,
dads love beating their kids at sports on the low. Even if they
right,
don't
right.
gloat in their face, they walk away like, yeah. So I feel like that's one of those moments. I got her.
Right, right, right. Um, Mike, let's speak of the ambush. Did you have like,
Ooh,
oh, I remember this part moment
I
when
did.
that happened?
Oh yeah, especially it's been really fun playing along with the show too, because I know exactly like what parts are probably gonna hit, and like, all right, how accurate are they really gonna get to it, like line for line? Oh yeah, but it was just that immediate recognition from Joel that says, I've been on the other end of this. I've seen this trick 1,000 times because I've done it 1,000 times. Like, we're just gonna fucking bulldoze right over this asshole. No, no chances. And I love how, like, yeah, okay, Ellie was still kind of shocked, but also just kind of like held her shit under control. Like, oh, I guess this is what life is like in cars. I've never been in one, so here we are. But then I love that they added a little bit more to it, like the ambush itself. Because in the game, it was a little bit more wide open. It was in a larger street, and this
Yeah.
was more like an
Well,
alley.
you're also fighting like 1,000 people in a tank.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like adding in the spike strips, and then like someone like throwing down like a brick or something, and then
Cinder block.
Yeah, on
yeah,
the
I
window.
was like,
That was cool.
yeah,
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 that's a weapon of the week.
yeah.
Right?
Apocalypse
Yes.
Find what's around you.
Apocalypse weapon of the week. Cinder
Cinder
block from
blocks.
a rooftop.
Rooftops in the block.
Hey.
But as soon as they got out, I was like, all right, now we're in full on like shootout mode from the game too. Like make sure you're behind cover. You see him dealing with everything. As soon as he even shot someone, you hear the other guy like scream out like, "You motherfucker!" Like that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I remember some of that in the first one. They made it very
Mhm.
personal in part two, where they started adding people's names like Brian now. I was like, oh god, I just killed Brian. I don't know what kind of family he had. He's probably got kids at home. Oh, sorry, Brian. And now you got his friends trying to avenge him against you now,
Mhm.
and that's kind of like you already saw a little bit of hint in that in this episode, especially. Holy fuck! How they got rid of that guy? I think his name was Brian, wasn't it?
Brian.
Yeah,
It was
that's why
Brian.
I'm like,
It
why
Brian.
am
was
I using this
Brian.
name?
Yeah.
My name's Brian.
I was like, oh
That
fuck,
moment.
this
What's your name?
screaming out for his mom right before he fucking stabs in the chest. Like, you don't go back into the hole, he tells her, like,
I was at home like, fuck, Brian, just
ah,
die.
for
Shit.
real.
I can't feel my legs.
Nobody
I
wants to
can't feel
go
my
through this
legs.
with you,
No,
Brian.
please don't make this harder.
I,
You
I,
are.
I thought
Just
No.
go.
I thought that was a fantastically done moment. I think, one of the great things they've done with this show is showcase the game's violence without showcasing it like the game, right?
For
Because
sure.
it'd get ridiculous. He'd be like a ninja superhero John Wick.
Yeah.
Like he says in this
He
episode,
kind of is.
like, I'm 56, you little shit. When she makes fun of him
Love that.
climbing, there's 45 flights of
Yeah.
stairs. Like, yeah, I'd be mad too.
Oof. I'd be mad now.
Right?
You know?
And so having him just take out a whole bunch of people like you can in the game would be very unrealistic. But like we mentioned before, the presence of violence is continually there. One time where he beat a guy to death is still resonating till now. And with Brian's death, that's still going to resonate episodes later because it's only one person that we're looking at. You know, but the way it's done and this episode as a whole also, and even in the game, we won't go into context in the game, but it showcases that the bad guy is just perspective. Bad people aren't in terms of that kind of person. Like Brian and his people are just also just survivors. They're trying to survive. They're not born bad. They're trying to, and we find out later with the new character Kathleen as well what happened in her backstory. Why she was a good person and circumstances made her quote unquote bad. And so we see that with characters throughout. Joel himself has said, has insinuated that he's killed innocent
Oh yeah.
people. So to many, he was a bad guy. And this show kind of does a great job of highlighting and showcasing those aspects of it. And I thought that was really, really well done. I like the moment in the gunfight, Raven, speaking of father-daughter moment again, when he tells her to hide. I think that was really well done because she's scared. He looks in their eyes just like, like they're not going to hit you. Just telling her like it's not going to happen. Don't worry about it. I will protect you. Once again, Joel feels the need to protect. He's a natural protector, and I thought that was really done really well. Also, a game moment. We see in the game, Joel has to kind of like lift her through. You know, I thought that was really, really good. The kind of press
It
triangle.
was cute. Yeah, the triangle moment, action. I also love that they were the first shootout was in the laundromat. I don't know if
Mm,
you guys remember, but from the
yes,
original game, I believe that was the first shootout, or horde situation was in the
That's true.
laundromat.
hmm
And I can't lie, a part of me though was sitting at home like, oh, is he gonna grab a beer bottle and
Ah,
chuck it?
yeah, right. I
we
know.
have to
Well,
have a
that's
beer
it's too late
bottle
to
with the
distract
It's gonna
now. Yeah.
commands.
happen. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen, but I'm like, I need him to start making sounds.
Yes.
I'm also interested, not to skip ahead, but he did say he has a hearing problem in this, which is
Yes.
very different to the
Yeah.
game.
And I
As
like
we
the
all know,
irony.
his old ass has some amazing hearing in the game because he could hear
Super
through
hearing.
like 8 flights of steps and fucking across 2 miles of land
She's got like
somehow.
Daredevil style.
And we never asked a question,
And
Nope.
and
didn't
and like
care.
he can make it better by like eating pills
Yeah.
and making stuff.
Off the
Because you can
ground.
actually
He
Great
doesn't
make
even
pills.
know
I
what
don't
kind
know
they
if it's
are.
LSD. I don't know what the fuck he's eating. I don't know
the
what kind of pills they are, but man, they work well. He's got sonar with
and
those
it's
shits.
so good that he transfers it to Ellie when you play as Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my shit's now
Somehow Ellie
yours.
gets his hearing
Yeah.
ability. Just
She learned a
I
man,
feel
lot from
like
him.
people who haven't played the game are gonna be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
like that.
Oh, speaking of the game too, and also I think I can play along with this. You are totally right. There is that backpack is magic because it can store
I told you.
however many weapons that you really want, but you only get to have two exposed at the same time unless you build
At
Yes.
a
an additional
time.
Yes.
holster for each kind. Nonetheless, even with the additional holster, you're gonna get more. And where are they gonna go? Miniaturize into the
In that
magic
Yeah.
backpack.
backpack.
I
I was
told you
like,
he had
there
the Mary
fucking is.
Poppins
Holy
backpack.
shit. I really thought you had to like drop, what you had, and you can only have two.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Whatever you want.
No, that
You want
same
that tank?
backpack.
Put that
It's
tank
Mary
in the backpack.
Poppins.
That's all yours now.
Right.
Whole flamethrower. Why not? Why not? Fucking bow and arrow,
With
bitch. Throw it in there.
flamethrower with extra canisters of gas.
Oh yeah.
Oh, of course. Why
Make them right
not?
there on the
Ammo,
street.
Why
everything.
not?
It's okay.
Right.
4x4. Why not?
Get
Throw it
some
in
barbed wire
there.
in
Pull it
there.
out.
Give me a
Pull it out.
whole plank
Yeah.
of wood.
Where'd
Of
you get it?
course.
You
Of
did.
course. Reinforce
Yeah.
it. Reinforce it and then put it in the same backpack. For sure. For sure. We love it.
Mike, I want to talk about new addition, new character, Kathleen, played by Melanie Linsky. She is currently, I think, in Yellow Jackets, which I hear is
Yes.
a really, really good
Yeah,
show.
it was a really good show.
But seeing her here, oof, this character, as I mentioned earlier, we get kind of expositional hints on her backstory when she's interrogating the doctor that birthed her. I carried you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, really got
she
deep.
talks about her brother. That you get this sense that doctor was once in charge and was like, nope, brother's got to die for something small, relatively. And so she's like, oh, the rules changed now. It's different. You understand that things happened to her that put her here. She's not someone that is like this. Mike, what did you like about? Because in the game we do have various entities. We do have Fedra, we
Yeah.
have the Fireflies, and we do have the third entity of just rebels. But
Right.
we don't learn much about them. And this is the first time we actually get a face for the rebels. What did you think of this edition?
I'm glad that they put it on top, like an actual scene or two for just them to better explain it because, it's adding to it already. This is like you said, it's an addition. This is not coming out of left field. Joel and Ellie were definitely going through town. They got ambushed by these rebels that were against Phaedra, and
But not Firefly.
but not Firefly. Yeah, no, they are their own thing. They just needed to rise up against the Fedra takeover, where originally Pittsburgh, but in this it was Kansas City. Um, but nonetheless, they clearly were friendly. They are their own thing. But even then, we found out that I don't know. There were some people that didn't agree with the leader, and you find this through the notes around the areas that you're searching, and there is a story through that if you just had read through most of it. And then of course through that we find Hank and Sam, and you keep hearing about Hank throughout the.
Henry.
I'm sorry, Henry. That's right, Henry and Sam.
In my head, I was like, damn, who's Hank?
I was like, I had it right here. Losing it,
I was
guys.
like, I watched it twice and I missed Hank.
I know.
Damn.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad there was more relevance to Henry because we only hear Henry's side. And I'm sure
Mhm.
we'll hear his side in the next episode, but it was just from his
But Henry is
perspective in
connected
the
to them in
game.
the game
Yeah,
too,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
but we
This
don't get the
now
full
we're
connection.
kind of getting more information of like what he did or didn't do, or whoever was, he was running from or against. But either way, there was a small group of people, and it turned out to just be him and his brother. Uh, but yeah, that's quick preview of the next one. But this is
Mhm.
exactly where it leads to, which is actually
Yeah.
more exciting than what we saw for this episode.
I do like the addition of this character and just seeing again having a character with layers because you understand to a degree like why she's doing what she's doing from her perspective, and even when she's just like, oh, when she gets told about the people who've been killed, including Brian, she's like, oh, can anyone be helped by a doctor? No. Boom, kills the doctor.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
no use for you
I
now.
was just like, wow, that was like, I really like that. And
Oh,
then
hasty. I'm
Raven,
like, if people get sick or get hurt, it's like,
right?
why are
Yeah,
you
about
just
the
outing your
doctors.
only doctor, your only medical
You're
professional?
gonna need him for other
Everyone
reasons,
needs a
like
doctor.
you know, have you?
Okay,
She clearly doesn't know Joel. That's why.
I'm
Mm.
badder than Joel.
You're gonna need a doctor soon. You're gonna wish you kept that doctor alive in a couple hours, lady.
Right?
You're gonna regret that decision because
And
shit.
still got
It's
regret for
also
this,
like, I don't know, if somebody pops up shot on my doorstep, maybe I'd keep the doctor around, because you didn't
right?
find out who did it yet. You're still looking for
Right?
Henry. Oh, also a little fun fact. Perry, who's Kathleen's right hand, is actually the voice of Tommy in the game.
Hmm.
I
Because
like
I
that.
can't lie, Perry looked fucking badass. I was like, I don't know who this man is,
Right?
but he looks so dope. And something about his gun being like, right, he looks like a
Right?
created character. I was like, all right, Avatar, let's go.
In my notes, I just wrote Call of Duty guy because he just looked like
Right.
a Call of Duty
Yeah.
character.
He's so dope. He looks like
That
somebody I
beard,
want to play with. Like in
like
my head, I was like, side character. I
right,
want
I
to
want to
play
be
this
that
mission.
character.
I'm
Right? Give
I
me
always
want to play
oh,
those missions.
in a post-apocalyptic world. I'm always so astounded by the amount of grooming that everyone gets when there's no resources at the end of the world. You're lucky to find
Something
a
about
mirror
that
intact,
beard.
but that beard man, he's put some hours into that. When he's not,
I thought the same thing.
looking for
like
food or
Raven.
fighting
You know
people
the
off,
answer:
let's just coat this
I was like,
juices and
thing.
they're
berries.
doing all right.
Yeah,
Juices and berries.
Juices and berries.
Juices and
Juices
berries.
and berries.
just makes it nice and neat.
Seriously, though.
He has a juice and berry guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. But yeah, I did love it. And also, yeah, like you guys said, I love that they gave Kathleen more like context in this. Because in the game, when you get ambushed, and like Mike said, you do get to find notes and stuff about these people, but you don't know much about them. And in the game, the notes that you find are kind of like insane. Like you find tortured bodies, you find piles of
Mm.
clothes and supplies and stuff everywhere. You find notes that basically say that they murdered people and got nothing and didn't care. So it's like, and I think that some of the groups are like cannibals and shit at some
Mhm.
point. So it's like kind of getting to see this side of them and making the villains a little more, or the quote unquote villains, because they're not even real villains, making them more humanistic, I think it's a little tough. So I'm like, now I gotta feel bad when everybody starts getting murdered. Shame.
You mentioned about seeing like the piles of bodies and stuff like that. That was always a marker in the game that you're about to come across gangs of humans, right? You saw the bodies, you're like, oh shit, something's
Yeah,
around.
Yeah,
some kind of
Which they
tribe.
did that in the show.
Yeah,
In
they
the show,
did.
we see a pile of bodies,
There's a
burnt bodies,
pile of bodies that
and
were
so it's like, oh,
charred,
right,
but recently charred.
right. So it's like
yeah.
So that
telling you
was a
those
recent
They
aren't
did that
pile
this
of
morning.
bodies.
Like you just got there.
Right.
Like, oh, I missed the barbecue.
right,
Yeah.
Sorry.
right. Our boy Perry tells Kathleen, you need to see something. Check out that place, that hole. Boom, the craters. Boom. And she's like, no, don't tell anyone about it. What were you thinking in that moment?
Bloaters. I
There's
don't
something
either.
under there. Though Tess
Something's
and Joel
brewing.
said bloaters don't exist.
But they never said it doesn't exist. They never answered
No,
it.
they didn't say that. They made a
Yeah, they
face.
just
No,
They
no,
laughed
no.
and joked. They
No,
said
because
that they
she's
didn't exist, but she made a face when she said it
no.
because it
There was
looked like
two.
one of those things where you try to protect them.
No, no, no. She's it was two things. She first said, "Oh, is there a type that throw gas bombs at you?" And they're like, "Everyone to make anything up." And then she says, "Is there another one that has a face that opens
Well,
up
yeah, that's
and
the
sounds
clicker.
like a
True.
man?"
That's
And
that's
then
what they
they
Or
saw.
say,
maybe also
"Yeah,
they've never
I think
yeah,
they
they've
they know
never
what a
witnessed
clicker is. I
them.
don't think they know what a bloater is. I don't think they've actually seen that.
the, though the show says there's no spores." I only say this to say I feel they're gonna give us something new and
Well,
worse.
I think we're gonna get a different version of a
yeah,
bloater. Because it could be that they shoot tendrils, you know what I'm saying, from
Yeah,
its
yeah, yeah.
body
yeah.
everywhere because tendrils are like the newer thing.
Hmm.
So it could be that it's able to like rapid shoot
That's
tendrils
what I'm
like
saying.
the way
Something
that
that's
what's that thing in Jurassic Park? Like that
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe it shoots
yeah,
those
the
with
thing.
tendrils. You know what the hell I'm talking about. God
Though
damn it.
whatever it is, it's clearly big and strong, right? Because the clickers can't do that.
No,
It's like
But
smashing
this
things on
thing
the
is
also,
like
ground.
a
it just
bowl.
occurred to me, is that thing in the floor level of the same building that Joel and Ellie end up going into at the
No, no,
end, or
that's a
no?
different. No, no,
Okay, I thought so. I
different
was
building.
like, no, right?
No,
Because
different
Yeah, that
building.
damn,
was ground level, I think, or basement.
But either way, I'm sure we're gonna
yeah,
see some shit. Um,
it's
towards
gonna
the
be
end of the
good.
episode, we see again Raven another moment of bonding for Joel and Ellie, and I think this is one big moment because when she tells the dad joke, and he laughs at it, but he can't help. He's actually actively
He
trying not to
tried.
laugh, and he laughs at it, and it's just one of those moments. And then he continues to laugh, and they laugh together, and I'm like, boom, there it is,
Yeah.
got him.
Yeah. And I loved it because she said it too. You know, these dad jokes aren't going anywhere.
Yeah,
And she stayed persistent throughout the whole
right,
episode.
right.
I also love that Joel actually wants to get to know her in this
Yeah,
scene
he
too.
tries.
Because he does inquire. Because I also realize, you know, just kind of fast forwarding, I mean, like rewinding a bit to earlier, you know, her first kill as a soldier,
Oh
as an
yes.
ex-soldier. You know, I'm sure that Joel has had to deal, you know, Joel's had to deal with his own PTSD. Joel's had to deal with many first kills of different, you know, aspects, I'm sure. So for him to have to witness somebody who's so young go through what he went through at an older age or whatever. And as she said though, you know, does it get easier when you're older? He said no. So you
Hmm.
kind of also have that question of, does it really matter how old you are when you have to do these types of things, or in this type of world, does age really matter at all? Circumstances are circumstances. You being older doesn't make it any easier to kill someone than it does you being younger, you know. So I do kind of like that we got to deal with that, and that kind of ended up being their bonding thing, because I feel like before he saw her kind of save his life, you
Yeah.
know, and before he saw even just her human side, realizing that damn, I'm probably gonna have to
Mhm.
console her, you know. And he tried. It was cute too,
Yeah.
him trying to be like soft.
You're not very good at this.
No.
I
Yeah.
do I do like the part where he does talk to her about, she even says it's not her she didn't kill this guy, she helped him, but she did mention that she has killed before, and she doesn't want to talk about it, which obviously I'm sure it's connected to her being bitten. And what I like is that, in terms of what we mentioned about, does it matter what age? And I think to Joel it does. Even if it doesn't get better, it matters in the sense of, if it happens earlier, then you're carrying that weight for longer, right? She's gonna carry that from the age of 14 for ages, you know. And he knows that the longer you have that weight, the more it doesn't go away. It just gets heavier and heavier. And he doesn't want, and he wants to prolong. He wanted to prolong when that weight starts being lifted by her. And what I also like is that he's thrown off guard, because going back to that moment, Raven, she first asks him, "Are you okay?" And he just,
She did.
and he doesn't know how to react because I'm the protector, and also he's kind of mad at himself because he didn't see Brian coming. And I think that's kind of why he also killed Brian, obviously for other reasons as well. Like,
You're off
motherfucker.
my groove, man.
Making me look bad. He almost killed me. I had to be
The
saved by Ellie.
groove. The
Ah.
groove.
And so like for her to ask him, "Are you okay?" It's also, I think, it's disarming for him, and it becomes a moment of, oh, maybe she kind of does care. And that's why he tries to, reciprocate by talking back to her and things like that. And that scene, what I like, it also ends with him, a moment of trust. He gives her the gun. You know, he tells her she can keep it and teaches her how to use it properly, not like how the Fedra people taught
Which clearly wasn't anything, really.
her.
They
So,
really don't matter in this show, which I kind of like. I thought
right.
that they were going to be like a bigger major party in this show, but really it's mostly just humanity,
The
and
infected,
dead
yeah, that's
humanity
enough there, I
sucks.
think. It's like,
I feel like Fedra are
Right,
gonna be like
right.
the wrench. Just out
Yeah.
of like fuck Fedra,
no,
like out
touch
of
break.
nowhere.
Yeah.
You
It'll
know.
be like the last episode. You think like we finally defeated this one and only obstacle,
Right.
and out of nowhere, Fedra's gonna come in and fuck shit up,
Like
and
haha.
then we'll get an additional 30
Like
minutes in the
God damn it,
finale.
I'll take
Fedra.
it.
That's what we'll get.
You mentioned Raven, the fact that Ellie noticed his hearing issue. Even the fact that she calls him like Joel, 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 like a whole bunch of times, you know, and he talks about and she realizes he's deaf in right ear. I did like that whole sequence because we see him kind of in the prep for the glass for the early warning system, and in most films and stories it would work, but it doesn't, and I love that. You know, because most movies you hear the next shot's gonna be
I was ready for that
and the
too.
character
Yeah.
wakes up.
Right. I was. I
And this is a
really
great
was.
subversion where he doesn't has no idea, and it's great if you realize he's deaf in his right ear. He's sleeping on his left side when he'd roll
Yeah.
over, and it's just like ooh,
That makes sense.
nice little touch there, you know, for the narrative,
Mm.
and that's where we get our first look at Henry and Sam. Oh, I can't wait to
So
see how
excited.
their
Mhm.
storyline is done in this TV show because
So
in the game,
excited.
I love their narrative in the game. It goes
I
to some
loved Henry
interesting
and Sam
places.
in the narrative.
The narrative goes to very interesting
Ah,
places.
it really does.
In the end of the world, would you drink coffee that smells like burnt shit?
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking about Chef Boyardee.
Burnt shit coffee
You
sounds
know, if I
delicious.
went to anyone who also has never had good coffee, yeah, it's gonna probably smell like burnt shit, sure. But I don't care if that's fucking, Folgers or what the hell, just probably some dirt in there too, like I don't know. Let's just hope this is coffee. It smells a little bit like it.
This is like, I think this is like Frank's made coffee or something like that. In the game, though, we find out that coffee doesn't exist anymore. It can't be
Well,
found.
it's
Get a
very
moment in
rare.
the game.
It's not easy to find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
extremely rare. Yeah,
Which would make sense why Bill would be one of the few people that has it. But
yeah. Bill and Frank.
also,
Bill and Frank.
yeah,
It
yeah,
makes
the
sense.
consideration would have to also be the fact that, like, how good is 20-year aged coffee beans? At best, how do they taste really? But at the same time, when she said burnt shit, a part of me was like, is that what my coffee smells like now? And is that what I like about it?
Especially because she's a
That's
child
disturbing.
who's never had coffee.
Right. A lot of kids think coffee
Yeah.
stinks, the
I
smell of
still
that
think it
bitterness.
stinks. I hate
Oh.
Right.
coffee.
There's plenty of adults that think coffee stinks. I absolutely love a fresh cup of coffee. I think even even in the end of days and apocalypse, aged,
I need
old,
coffee.
it could be weeks old. If I found a cup of coffee, I'd probably cry. I would be that emotional about it. Even if it was garbage, I would be so hyped to have it. Especially, I think he's on a 10-hour drive or something,
Mhm.
overnight drive. Sometimes you just need it. Like, nobody actually likes the taste of Red Bull. I don't care what
Yeah, no.
anybody says. It's like, does coffee taste good or does it just do its job? And we don't mind,
I feel like
you know?
I'm already an energetic person. I wake up super early in the morning, and if I had coffee, I'd
No.
be super hyped. I'd be too hyped because I make my wife coffee in the morning. She needs coffee. She's like, I'm that person. 5:30 in the morning, boom, let's go, workout time. She's like, no, I need to wake up, so I have to literally make her coffee holding my nose. I feel like if I took coffee,
Holding
I'd
your
be too wired.
nose. You can have enough strength to get up out of bed at 5:30 every morning, but like, no. You just gotta. Oh my god, it's not that bad.
It
I
sounds
hate
terrible.
it.
I'm awake. Yeah, no. I don't go to bed until like 3 a.m. So any type of awakeness at 5:30 and excited about it, no. No, that's probably an F no for me. And without coffee, no. I'll just stay awake. I just won't go to bed then.
Yeah, right at that point.
I'd
You
rather
got
be up
coffee
for 2
making at 5:30 in
days.
the morning?
Forget it.
I'll stay up. That's fine. Don't keep me up. Why not?
Right. I'll just stay up. No coffee? Nah.
I want to take this time quickly to give a RIP shout out to Annie Wershing. She played Tess in the video game in Last of Us.
Right.
She died last week
Oh,
at the age
yeah.
of 45.
Um,
And condolences
Yeah.
to her friends and family. She was also an actress on TV. She was in Star Trek as well recently. But yeah, she died recently, and I thought she played a great Tess in the game
Absolutely.
series. Brought a lot of character to Tess, who didn't have too much
Yes.
backstory, right? So just wanted to kind of just put that out there quickly before we close out the episode. Anything else?
Well,
Another shout out to Raven's grandma. Is your grandma watching it yet, or is she just listening to the podcast still?
my grandma, yeah, she's she's still listening. She's still listening. She's promoting. Has she seen the show? Nope. But thanks for being there, Nanny. We love you.
I think that's everything then.
oh, I got one actually. Do you want to hear a joke about a pizza?
Ooh, yes.
Oh, never mind. It's too cheesy.
Ah.
There it is.
On that
Ah.
note,
Oh, the one that I did remember from the game itself, though, actually was nice. Was I used to be addicted to soap, but I'm clean now. And even then, that one, Joel was like, "All right, I haven't heard that one before."
yeah.
That was pretty good.
That's cute. I like that one.
On that note, any more jokes? Because we could be here all
Oh,
day.
there's enough, but I mean, we could always return to volume 2 of no pun intended.
Yeah, right. No bunch
So
intended.
It never leaves.
No bunch intended.
No
I don't
bunch
have any
intended.
bunch jokes. So sad.
What do you nerds think of The Last of Us? I think we're now halfway through the season. Are you enjoying it? Gamers, are you enjoying it? Those who don't know the game, are you enjoying it? Those who finally got into Fringe, are you enjoying that? Let us know. Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch presentation of The Bunch of Us, where we spoke about The Last of Us Episode 4. And as always, Mike,
Keep it nerdy.
peace.
Peace.